All of you I know are here because of your love and respect of Tommy Bowman. And I could give a long, flowery introduction for Tommy Bowman, but let me just bring him up and we'll cover all that in our conversation. So folks, join me in welcoming our legendary guest of honor today, a lunch with a legend with Tommy Bowman. Tommy, welcome to you. Standing ovation. That's great.
God be the glory.
Oh man, that's a great reception. Ooh man, that's great. That's how you do things at Tolliver Chapel Baptist Church, right?
That's right. That's right.
Very nice. Nice to have your pastor sitting right here.
Yeah. I appreciate Dr. Hunter and all the members of Tolliver Chapel coming out to support me. And I'm overwhelmed. I told my pastor, I said, I'm overwhelmed because some of the guys sitting over there has got some pictures on me, and I just hope they didn't bring them with them. Yeah, old Mike Hughes over there, he got some pictures.
I hope they did bring the pictures. And your wife, Jackie, is here. Jackie, welcome to you. Wave a hand, let everybody know you. This is Jackie Bowman.
And I want you to recognize my sister, my only sister, Johnny Taylor. She's here all the way from Athens, Texas.
From Athens, great, welcome. And your niece.
And my niece, Angie.
Now, did they surprise you? Did you know they were coming?
I did not know it until I saw them at the front door.
Oh, that's great. That's fun. Anybody else? Family-wise? Anybody else family-wise here?
That's all.
We're all family.
I got my Lipset family.
That's right.
And Melvin called me yesterday and said he apologized he wouldn't be able to be here, but he was going to New York to visit Barbara Streisand.
Oh, wow.
Can you believe that?
No, I can't.
I can't either.
Could have been here with you.
Could have been here with
and
me,
chose
but
Barbara
instead
Streisand.
he chose Barbara Streisand in the Big Apple. So I thought that was kind of narrow-minded of it.
Isn't it neat when you think about, your family? You've got your
Where's Prince?
Your earthly family, your blood family. You got your Baylor family. You've got your Lipsitz family. Isn't it great?
It is terrific. Now, I got a call yesterday from Prince Fight. Where's Prince Fight? Prince Fight. Prince Fight lived across the street from me and my sister in Athens, Texas. Wow. He came up he's in Madisonville now, and he came up. And I tell you, I'm excited to see a fellow Athenian. I certainly like you Central Texans. But Athens, there's no place like Athens. No place like Athens.
That's great. Appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. Why do I have the feeling that we could pass this mic around the room and everybody could kind of chime in on questions or stories about Tommy? I think that would be pretty good.
We're not going to do that, are we?
No. Depends. I don't know. Might use that for the capper today. Thanks for allowing us to honor you in this way today. Talk about Athens. Talk about growing up in Athens. What was that like for you?
Well, Athens was the black-eyed, I guess it still is the black-eyed pea capital of the world. And when I grew up there, of course, we were in segregated schools. And during the summer, the only work for kids like myself was hauling watermelons, hay, picking black-eyed peas and things of that nature. And when I say to God be the glory, it's a long ways from Athens High School to being recognized as a legend in Waco, Texas, and a part of Baylor University. I have had the favor of God on my life, all of my life. I didn't always acknowledge that because I didn't always know it. But when I look back in retrospect, I can see the hand of God all over my life. Even when Carol Dawson, even when CD came to Athens and snowed my mama and made her think that he was the first coming of Jesus Christ. and Baylor was the only place that I could go to school. And in retrospect, it was God's providential care. And it was meant for me to attend Baylor University. Even though it was during a time when there were not many blacks there. But I stayed close to the Baylor basketball team, stayed close to Coach Menifee, Carol Dawson. And during those times, I think the race thing was more covert. They were not as overt as they are today. Today they don't mind looking you in the face and calling you a nigger. But in those days they were more condescending, and they say things like, "Some of my best friends are like you, Tommy." Things of that nature. But things have changed. Things have changed. There's a long ways for us to go, but we have come a long ways. And I can tell you, represented by the crowd that we have here, and I'm just overwhelmed that this many people thought enough of me and my family to come and share in this event. I tell you, God's favor is really something. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to try it.
Amen to that. So I understand you went to an all-black school in Athens until your senior year.
That's right. I went to Fisher High School for the first 11 years. Well, I went to Bishop Heights Elementary School, then Fisher Junior and Fisher High School through the 11th grade. And then the city of Athens decided that they would do the integration all at once. Initially, they said, we're going to do it slowly. We'll start with the elementary and then we'll work it up. And then for some reason, they decided that they would integrate all of the students at one time. And it was somewhat trying my first year. When I went to Athens High School the first day, on the sidewalks, they would have things like, "Niggas go home." And I thought, well, I guess we're home. I've been here all my life. But because I was an athlete, I participated in football and basketball, and things went quite well. And my desire, my aspirations was to attend Henderson County Junior College in Athens. It was called Hickjick at the time. I've shared this with my church family many times. That was my aspiration because nobody in my family had ever attended college. So I wanted to try to go to Henderson County Junior College. Lo and behold, and I really wasn't such a good basketball player because when I played over at the black school, I was average. But when I got to play with these white boys, I became a superstar. So, lo and behold, instead of going to Henderson County Junior College, I was able to attend Baylor University. Not only Baylor University, but being the first black scholarship athlete at Baylor University. Now, who but a great God can do that? I serve a terrific God. And that's all I can tell you.
Amen again to that. So you had aspirations to go to Henderson County Junior College there, and then TCU knocks on your door, and in fact sent a plane over to try to recruit you, right?
That's exactly right.
Did you get on that plane?
I did. That was the first time I ever got on a plane, too. And they sent an airplane down to pick me up for my visit to TCU in Fort Worth. Coach Dawson came down in a 65 Super Sport Chevrolet. But you can see I was not persuaded because of the airplane. And I'll say this again. When I look back on my attendance at Baylor, when I think of the relationships that have been placed in my life through Baylor University, if I had to do it all over again, I'd do the same thing. Would not change a thing. There were some details in there I might change. I went to church one Sunday while I was at Baylor, and lo and behold, I was in the Sunday school class with Jackie Sallard. Now, there have been some times in my life I thought I might have changed that. But since she has hung with me for these last 48 years, May 31st will be 48 years.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Jackie is older than me, so she was a cougar before cougar.
Wait a second. All right, you're here with us for about an hour. You got to go home and live with her, okay? So
You're right, Jackie.
All right.
I take that back, Jackie.
So, Coach Dawson was the assistant coach to Bill Menifee at that time.
That's
Coach
correct.
Dawson comes over, finds your house, and according to him, the story according to him is he recruited your mom, and she recruited you, or she told you you were going to Baylor. Is that the way you remember it?
Pretty much it. You know, I'm sure Dawson never shelled a pea in his life, but he sat on my mama's porch shelling purple hull peas and convinced her. I mean, she was absolutely convinced that the only place I could go was to Baylor University. And it's because of Coach Dawson. And in retrospect, that was the only place. It was the only place, John. No doubt about it.
And you never, through the recruitment process, you never visited with Coach Menifee. It was all through CD.
Never did. Never did. That's how I know that it had to be providential. I came to Baylor on a visit, was shown around the university one week by Randy Thompson, Stan Sluter, and went through the whole 9 yards and never, ever met Coach Menifee. I made a commitment to Baylor University, signed the scholarship. We had the Athens Daily Review came by and took the picture and put it in the paper. I show up here to the university. I enrolled in my classes, and after I had enrolled in my classes, I met my head basketball coach. Now, how dumb is that? How dumb is that? I made a commitment to play under this coach for 4 years, and I didn't meet him. So if you think Coach Menifee, Coach Dawson is not quite the salesman, he is for sure.
That's great faith in Carol Dawson for sure.
Well, it might seem like it was great faith in Carol Dawson, but again, it was supposed to be, John. It was supposed to be.
So this is the mid-'60s, 1966. You
Right.
come to Baylor, and the 1960s, obviously turbulent times, racial strife, or whatever term you want to use, and you're the first black scholarship athlete in Baylor University history. What was that like to drop in here in that position?
Well, I wish I could sit here and tell y'all that I had all kind of problems and issues, but if I did, I'd be lying to you. It was quite a pleasant experience for me. The only time that I was refused service in Waco, I was out with Woody Rogers. Remember that, Woody? We went to a restaurant here in Waco. Woody invited me. I was pledging APO, one of the campus clubs. And Woody came and invited me to go eat supper with him. We got to this particular restaurant, and there were some other guys there that had a table. We walk in, and the lady met us. She had the menu. She said, "No room, no room, no room." Of course, I'd heard that before, so I was not surprised. But Woody didn't understand, because he'd never been refused service. So Woody said, "We with those guys," and they were over there standing. "Come on, we got seats for you." The lady said, "You don't understand. We don't have any room. We're filled up." So by that time, I'm walking back to the door, and finally Woody, I'm riding with Woody. Woody's got a GTO, and I'm walking, so we go back to the dorm, and I don't know if Woody ever realized what was going on, but that was one of the few times that I was ever refused service here in Waco. This was in 1968, I believe, because this was before Jack and I got married.
And the team, your teammates, were all very welcoming. I mean, that was a sanctuary for you, wasn't it?
That was my sanctuary. And I'm not so sure any of those guys had really played with black players before. Gatewood, Sibley, Croucher, Gatewood from Oklahoma City, Croucher and David from Houston, and then there was a couple of walk-ons from Waco that was on the freshman team. But everybody was very accommodating, and so I stayed close to them. And I really didn't have any problems at the university. And I was surprised that I was refused service because this was in 1966, 67, This is America. We're progressive. But this is also 2017, and we're still dealing with some of those issues.
Yeah, right.
But it is what it is, John.
They passed you the ball. I mean, Gatewood never passed the ball, but everybody else passed you the ball, and everything was good.
Well,
am I right about Gatewood?
That's a whole different thing. That had nothing to do with black and white. Gatewood didn't pass the ball to anybody. But I was blessed to have teammates like Tom Stanton, Larry Gatewood. I mean, I never had any issues. Never, ever had any issues there with Baylor and my teammates. I mean, when I tell you I've been blessed all of my life, I mean that. I mean that. And look at me. Do I look like I'm stressed out? I work for a terrific company. They allow me to take care of the business, and I guess I do a relatively good job because very seldom do Charles call me and jump on me about anything. My wife said when I told her I was taking off this week, she said, "Are you working that hard?" I said, "Well, no, I'm not working that hard." She said, "Well, are you stressed out?" I said, "No, I'm not stressed out. I just want some time off." And she said, "Well, usually when people take off from work, it's because they're stressed out." Well, I'm not stressed out. I mean, I am blessed to be working for M. Lipset. And because of them, I told my wife I wanted to work until I was 70. I'll be 69 on the 9th of this month. I told Jackie, I said, I want to retire at 70, Jackie. She looked at me and said, "Why are you quitting at 70? So I guess, Charles, there's no retirement in sight for me, brother. No retirement in sight.
Keep it going. So you tell the story that it was comfortable for you when you came to Baylor, when you came to Waco. Did you in any way look at yourself as this pioneer, this trailblazer, which you absolutely were, but sounds like you were just a normal student in your mind?
I never saw myself as a trailblazer. You know, I never saw myself as being the first anything. I was here as a student athlete, and I knew that Baylor was a terrific university. And let me tell you something, John. One of the summers, I was there in Athens, sitting on the market square, hoping to get a job loading watermelons. And I happened to have a Athens Daily Review paper there. And I saw where Rice University hadn't won a Southwest Conference basketball game in several games. I mean, and they finally beat Baylor University. And I said, well, I can definitely play at that school. So that had something to do with my commitment to Baylor because I knew I could make that team. But my career at Baylor was quite pleasant and very comfortable. And I was accepted by all of my teammates. And I think for the most part, I was accepted by the university.
So that's here. I mean, you're in your comfort zone here. You got to go to Dallas and play SMU. You got to go to Fort Worth and play TCU. Got to go to Austin and play Texas. Got to go to A&M in College Station. I'm sure they weren't quite as friendly to you or to the entire team. What was that like on the road?
Let me tell you, the first time I went down to G. Raleigh White at A&M, Coach Dawson called me aside after our last practice prior to us going. And he tried to share with me what I could expect when I got to A&M. You remember that CD? And I'm thinking, what's he talking about? He says, well, now we're going down to A&M, and look, they're a little bit different from the rest of us. And sure enough, he was right. When we got to A&M, I found out that they were a little bit different than the rest of the people that I'd been exposed to. As a matter of fact, and I certainly don't mean to demean A&M because it's a great university and there are lots of great Aggies, but it was the toughest place that I had to endure during my Baylor career. I mean, it is what it is, John. It was tough at A&M, and I think Tom Stanton will agree with that. And if Tom Friedman was here, I know he would agree with that. Stan Sluter. You know, these guys were on the bench when we had the brawl down there. But, you know, I'm sure all that's changed. Coach Metcalf, which was a basketball coach at A&M at the time, he had a sister that lived there in Athens. And his sister and my mom had developed somewhat of a relationship. And so Coach Metcalf saw me one day in Athens when he was there visiting his sister. And he called me to the side and said, Tommy, said, you're a terrific basketball player, and I'd love to have you at A&M. He said, but A&M just ain't ready for you. And he wasn't lying. He wasn't lying. A&M was not ready for me, and I was not ready for A&M. But, thank God I didn't have to be exposed to that except twice, every season.
Yeah. You came to Baylor and you've talked about your teammates. It's really interesting to me to watch you guys when you get together. It's a close-knit group. You guys have stayed close through the years, and we're talking about 50 years, going on 50 years now since you were here and played together. What was it about this team and that group that has kept you so close?
I don't know. I wish I could tell you. We just this past weekend, David Sibley had all of us down to his place there in Huntsville. I was not able to attend because I just wasn't feeling good and I wanted to drag on it. But there is something about the relationship developed between myself and Sibley, Gatewood, and David Croucher. We were all freshmen together. And I can't put my hand on it. I don't know what it is. But we've always remained close and we'll continue to be close. The most important thing that I've received through Baylor was the relationships that has been developed. It was a great school to get an academic education, and I appreciate that. I really do. But the relationships developed for me through Baylor University has been the most important thing to me. And let me just tell you about this. I went to work for Central Freight Lines, and I worked there for 32 years. 32 years. You know how I got that job? I didn't fill out an application. I got a call one Sunday night. Right, Jackie and I just got married. I got a call from a guy that I knew, said, Mr. Lynham wants to talk to you, Tommy, because this guy knew I was graduating, I was looking for a job. Mr. Lynham was the president of Baylor University. I went to see Mr. Lynham. Mr. Lynham was the president of Central Freight Lines, I'm sorry. I got a job at Central Freight Lines in November of 1971. I worked there until October of 2003. Never fill out an application. That's not the end of the story. When I left Central Freight Lines and I was off for a period of time and I realized that I didn't have enough money for the rest of my life, and certainly for the rest of Jackie's life.
The Cougar.
I decided that I need to go back to work. I got a call from Tom Stanton. Tom Stanton called me and said, hey, Bo, are you going back to work? I said, I got to go back to work, brother. I'm broke. He said, well, Tommy Salome wants to talk to you. I go and visit Tommy Salome. I talked to Charles Johnson. I talked to Melvin Lipset. And lo and behold, I go to work for Lipset. That's 13 years ago this past Monday. I don't recall filling out an application. But I'm telling you that God's grace, God's favor has been on me all of my life. And I've been there for 13 years. And hopefully I can stay there another 13 years. So, and I know y'all will probably get tired of hearing me say that God is good to me, but that's my story. And I'm sticking to it.
That's great. I don't think we ever get tired of hearing that. That is great. I looked up your numbers. I didn't really know your numbers from when you were playing at Baylor, but man, you were good. 13.5 point average during your time at Baylor, 9.6 rebounds during your 3 years on varsity. You were a great teammate and a great contributor and player on that team. 2 times first team All Southwest Conference. That was a great career.
Well, if I didn't have Gatewood as a teammate, I probably would have been averaging 20 points a game. But we just didn't have enough basketballs to go around. And I would say that even if Gatewood was here, because I love Gatewood and I know that he loves me. But I was blessed. I was blessed. And when I look back on my career at Baylor as a basketball player, I think I probably should have shot the ball a little bit more. But with Gatewood as a teammate, we would have had to have at least 2 balls out there for me to shot more.
Definitely. I wish he was here to hear all this. We'll make sure he gets the word. Okay?
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, we'll make sure he gets it. You guys played at the HOT Coliseum?
Yeah.
But you practiced on campus, right, at Mars McLean.
That's exactly right.
And you only went out there on game days for the most part?
No home court advantage for us. And Gatewood often tells me that, at the heart of Texas, we had one hook to hang our uniforms on, and we had one light bulb in the whole building. And I guess that was somewhat advantageous to us because we at least played all of our home games there. But, you know, we had no advantage. And when you compare the HOT with the Farrell Center, I mean, there's no comparison. It's a contrast. But I think that speaks to Baylor University and the progress that we've made at Baylor University, not only in the athletic department, but throughout the whole university. And it's right now, even at this stage in my life, I feel blessed to have been and continue to be a Baylor Bear.
Amen. All right. That is, as I said at the beginning, that's one of your families, you know, your Baylor family. Tell me about your church family and how important that is and they are to you and Jackie.
Well, obviously, at the top of my priority list is my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You know, and I give him all the praise. I give him all the glory because he alone is worthy of praise and honor. And my church family supports me in that area. I have one of the greatest pastors in the whole world, Dr. Jimmy Hunter. And I make no bones about that. He has been one of the best pastors in his pastoral service to me, my family, and the church at Tolliver has been outstanding. And I have been able to grow in my spiritual walk under his pastoral leadership. And I'm so grateful to God. I was a member of First Baptist Church in Waco, where my wife was born in that church. We were married by the pastor of that church, and we thought that we would leave that church and go to glory. But you know, God moves in mysterious ways. And in the early part of 2003, my wife actually left First Baptist and went to Tolliver. Now, I don't need to tell you the details on how that happened, but it happened. And of course, you know, I've always felt that to make a move like that, you had to be led by the Spirit. So I didn't follow her to Tolliver. I stayed at First Baptist because that was my church home. One Wednesday, after I left Central Freight Line, I was not working. Jackie was still working. I woke up, and in my bedroom, something in my spirit says, Tommy, you don't have to go back to First Baptist anymore. I mean, it was not an audible voice, but it was something that was very plain, and I knew. I was released from First Baptist. And I wasn't sure how you leave a church, but I didn't go back. And I know I left the right way because I've not had any regrets. I know I left, and the next thing I knew, after visiting some churches in the city, there I was at Tolliver Chapel. And I've been there, and I am blessed to be there. And I thank God that Tolliver is my church family. Look at all these people from Tolliver. Look at all these people. I mean, they're here because they love me. They love me.
That's great. After Baylor, at one point, somebody called you or tapped you on the shoulder and said, we would like to have you as one of our regents at Baylor University. What was that? How did that transpire, and what was that time in your life like?
Well, I'll tell you, we only grow when we experience adversity. And let me just put it this way. Those 9 years that I served on the Board of Regents at Baylor, those were some very growing years for me. They were tough. I don't know. Donnell, help me out on this. Donnell was there with me. They were tough years. Robert Sloan was our president. Lilly was our president. Starr was our president. All of this happened on the 9 years that I served on the Board of Regents. It was tough. I appreciate the experience, but let me be quite frank with you. I wouldn't go through it again, brother. I would not, and I'm sincere when I say that. It was an honor to be a part of that group and to have some contribution into the ongoing legacy of Baylor University, but it was a difficult time for me. My wife will attest to that. It was a very difficult time because there was a lot of controversy. You know, the Baylor basketball team went through that tumultuous experience. It was tough. It was tough. But, James says that, when we go through these trials and tribulations, we need to rejoice and know that God is doing it for a purpose. He had a purpose for that. So I dealt with it accordingly.
You had dark hair when you started, right?
I did.
As a regent.
I did. I had dark hair. But thank God I still got hair.
Yeah. Very good. We should. You could do a poster of Tommy Bowman, and you could say, "This is Baylor University. This is Baylor basketball. This is Baylor athletics." From where you came from, what you went through, how you represent Baylor through the years, what you've done in your career after Baylor University. I mean, I say that to say thank you for all the things you have done for all of us who have followed you. You are a great example and really a shining star to a lot of people.
You flatter me, John. You flatter me. You flatter me. And I have to tell you, I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable with this kind of focus, But I'm flattered for all the kind things that have been said. I appreciate it.
Well, it's great that we have the chance to visit with you, to honor you in this way, and you can see how many people think so highly of you. So thank you for letting us do this today. We appreciate it. We'll make sure Larry Gatewood gets the word that we remembered him very fondly today.
And let me say this. I think all of the Central people that I see here, Central Freight Line is in the house. Central Freight Line is in the house. And I guess that all of those years that I toiled out there, I guess they were not told anything. God blessed me through that company for 32 years, and now he's blessed me through M. Lipset. And I'm so grateful because he has put me in the right place at the right time in my life. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank all of you.
That is great. Thank you very much. Well, let me just say in closing, you've blessed us by, again, the way you represent Baylor and all your family and everyone you've worked with, your church family and everything. So thank you for that. Happy birthday. Birthday's coming up on Tuesday.
That's right.
69 years old, 69
right? 69 years old.
Fantastic. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And happy anniversary to you and Jackie coming up on May 31st. 48 years?
48 years.
48 years on May 31st.
48
so remember
long
that.
years.
Wait a second. Do I need to give Jackie some equal time before we close out today?
No. This is my day.
Okay.
This is my day.
Folks, give a round of applause and say thanks to Tommy Bowman.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you. Yes, sir.